Okay, good evening and good morning. Good morning. It's actually after midnight. And I'm going to be doing another session on Nancy Guthrie. So this is trigger warning. If you are coming on, hello, greetings. It's early in the morning. If you're coming on now, you're welcome to join me for tea. I think it is 12:03. And I will be covering my feelings and information that I have with respect to Nancy Guthrie. I've been doing numerous videos on missing person Nancy Guthrie, and I've only been getting information since March 26th. So there are several videos that preclude this. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, Part 5, Part 6, Part 7, which is in 2 parts. This will be officially called Part 8. Oh, careful there, honey. And I want to focus in particular on what the mission was. If you go back through my videos, all of this information started to come through on a visitation that happened March 26th and March 27th. And since then, I've done 2 readings through tea. Cheers. Tea readings are incredible. It's a true art form for clairvoyance. It's a matter of seeing and feeling and receiving information through tea leaves. And it can take you anywhere, really. With respect to Nancy Guthrie, we have been wanting to tap into important elements. So if you want to look back over some of my videos, I've already covered the motive. That's one of my videos. You can go see that on this TikTok page at Sacred Sax, or you can find my YouTube channel, which is Sax Francisco Clairvoyant Medium. And all of the full-length videos are available on that channel. Now, I do have, whoops, who left the door open? I got 2 cats in the studio. Anything could happen at this point, including they may be jumping up out of nowhere. So, cheers. Now I'm going to do a slight recap. Primarily, I want to talk about the mission tonight. And what I define by the mission is, we know there are several perpetrators involved in the Nancy Guthrie abduction. And what I am proposing, now that I have had 2 visitations, 2 readings, I've had my sister look on it as well, and that's a whole other lot of, that's going to be another video, I'm going to tell you that much, because it's a lot of information, and I'm going to be really honest. I wasn't planning, I've said it from the beginning, I was not planning on looking into the Nancy Guthrie case. The only reason I've been doing it is because she appeared to me in my bedroom. So, what's important to me tonight is to help you. You don't have to believe what I say, okay? At all. Not expecting people to believe me. I'm sure a lot of people will have already kind of come up with their own ideas on this. What happened in a reading I did on April 16th with the assistance of Anne Marie Neely, a friend of mine who's also the daughter of a missing woman here in the Kawarthas, Canada. I asked her to be part of it because she and I have really used tea leaves to get to the bottom of the mystery of her own mother's case. And it's a case that I've worked on since 2010. I finally called the family, I think it was in 2014, because the police kept stalling out. This will happen. It's very important not to let cases go cold. But what can happen is your leads can go cold. So that's where I come in. I have coined a phrase with the Marilyn and Neely case here in the Kawarthas. When police leads go dead, it is time to speak with the dead, because murdered victims or deceased victims of crime, their spirits, when they come back, because they haven't quite gone through, a lot of times, if a crime has not been solved with respect to a murder or a killing, sometimes those spirits aren't choosing to move way through the heavens. They could be staying very close to the earth until someone knows their truth. That is the truth. I will drink to that. And if the truth really isn't known by the collective consciousness or the appropriate beings that need to, like police enforcement or even family, what's really beautiful yet tragic in this case, as an example, Nancy Guthrie shared on television in one of the interviews that she had a visitation from her mother who said, "I am with God." So that is the most beautiful part of a visitation. If a family has not had answers, and that one little exchange is enough to settle the heart, I don't know if it settles your mind, because you still want the perpetrators. So I'm continuing to do these videos because now that Nancy's connected to me, if I don't get this stuff out, I will be haunted like I can't explain to you. Now, when I'm haunted by the spirits of the missing, it's more tragic than scary. I've never been scared by victims, ever. But for me, the most important thing is to pass on the messages, to pass on any clues that could assist in breaking this open. So I'm gonna do something I have not done on the other lives. I'm actually gonna replay parts of the reading that was done on April 16. And today, though, just to get the right date, it is officially Tuesday, the 28th. So I am gonna just play this back a little. I queued it up. Now, like I said, I've already done a little mini video on the motive. I've done a little video on the family, because some people think that it is the family. I've already covered that topic. It's not the family. But it is someone who knows the family, 1 to 6 degrees of separation, and it is not connected to Annie and Tommaso at all, not at all. What I've suggested through other videos is, without accusing anyone, I have been told the name Michael by Nancy, and I firmly believe that someone by the name of Michael inadvertently or unknowingly knows at least one of the perpetrators, and I continually refer to this perpetrator as perpetrator number 3. He's a communications expert, and considering the name Michael, it is potential and possible that the person may know Savannah and Michael through personal and professional circles. And there is a section in this reading that I might share with you a little later, but I want to get down with leading into the description, and the best way you can get it, the way I heard it, is whenever I do my readings, I do record them, so that's what I'm going to be playing back. And I'm backtracking a moment. Okay, I'm going to have to actually, I will be right back because the cat's got in here and they're now trying to bust through the door. And I was like, it's sort of like a mimic to what I know the mission is, because, you know, there was a break-in at Nancy's store. So hang on 1 second. Pardon me. Okay, that's so hello, baby. Okay, come on. See you later. Okay, thank you. All right, so this is going to be, I've backed up the tape, and this is going to be a replay of some of the information that came forward in the motive video that I have done. Okay, so I just want to cue this up, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to hear this easy enough. Okay, and as I said, the person that is helping me do this reading, it is a friend of mine, Anne-Marie Neely. And, okay, so let's go. And I really do feel like I'm asking even, people wondered if someone could have been hiding in the garage, because Tommaso's habit apparently for Nancy's routine was that people would drop her off near the garage. Apparently there's a door, you go through the garage, and that's how Nancy would usually go into her own home. So it's in the media discussing that you know, what happened, because it's believed that he dropped her off at about 9:47, I believe, 9:50, let's say, 10 to 10 p.m. So, you know, people have been wondering, could someone have already been hiding in the garage? I do not. When I'm looking at this, she's giving me the impression from, like, I'm just seeing all these scenes in this thing where the visit was fine, dinner was fine, the games were fine, I was in pain, but there's love here. Like, she keeps showing me there's so much love in that family, and I believe that's why this heart is appearing when I'm seeing this. So, and I'm just getting the first phase of saying that this is in this little clump. She's only showing me from dinner to the time she gets to the garage. Okay, so in this little segment, it's like I see all these visuals that are piled together, and she's safe going home, she's safe driving, she's safe in the car. Like, I don't see Tommaso sweating bullets. Like, if he were really setting something up where he's just gonna, like, drop her off and his gang of hired people are gonna come back and get her in 4 hours, honestly, I'm not seeing his brow sweat, I'm not seeing his stomach churn. Like, if you were really going to be doing that to a family member, I would be like, call me crazy. I think I'd be feeling or sensing, right, what the person's kind of going through. And I'm just feeling like, you know, it's funny. I just get Tommaso being freaking tired that night, oddly enough, himself, when I'm, like, tuning into him. For some reason, I'm getting him to be a little, I don't know if this is true about him, but I don't know if he's sometimes forgetful or, I don't know why I'm getting that. But it's almost like I want to say something about, I don't know anything about this man, but when I'm tuning into him, it's almost like there's either so much on his mind that he forgets things, or he too might be bad with timing, like, because I don't know, but I'm just looking at him, like, really, like, driving home and, like, just really looking at, are there nerves? Is there stomach turning? Is there anything tense in the car? Okay, baby, sit down. And honestly, I'm just not getting it. I just feel like, but I feel really bad in one way when I'm seeing this, though, because I'm getting all of these impressions as if everything was okay, it was normal, it was loving. And then I kind of get this feeling that she really, of course, really does go through that garage. And you have to sit down. Like, things seem normal. Like, that's what I'm getting. Things seem normal. And then it's interesting because I get the impression, okay, all of a sudden I see her in my head, and what she's showing me is wherever, like however she goes through the garage door into the house door, it's giving me the impression that she's even like clicking on lights herself. Like, there's something clicking in there as soon as I walk in. And honestly, like, you know, I wonder if the passageways through this house. Okay, so one thing I want to mention with respect to what was just played, the garage. Now, quite a few people, hey baby, just sit down, honey. Quite a few people have been wondering because, ouch, honey, you gotta like go, and you're gonna claw me to death. Okay, sorry about this. Can't concentrate with you. Okay, so sorry. The garage. People have been commenting and quandering over something said in the media about a 2-minute, it took 2 minutes. Okay, if Tommaso dropped Nancy off at her garage, people were wondering, could she really have made it into her house? And they're not believing that she did in this little tiny 2-minute. Now, I just, over the last 4 or 5 days, I've been trying to really like pull and try to get information. And what I discovered, okay, Mashika's like, you're tickling me like a shark. Okay, stop it. Okay, that's my cat. It's like, oh my gosh. Okay, I can't concentrate with cats in the room. Oh my God. I watched some videos that showed the police still swarming the outside of Nancy's house and doing all sorts of collection of things, and all of a sudden in the video there was a scene of the garage. Okay, and let's keep something in mind. Depending on your garage, mechanical, lifted garage, I am sure there's many different varieties of garage doors that are either quick or slow. I watched the video of the one at Nancy's, and that garage door moved pretty darn quickly when I was watching it. Also, if Nancy isn't driving herself and it was common for Tommaso or Annie to be driving her around, would it be plausible that there's a garage remote right in the car? Because some people can use that remote before they stop, and that door's already going up. And you know what? It's a fast door. So I distinctly see, as I'm recounting during the reading, that Nancy truly did go through that garage door into, and now that I've seen photos, once she gets through the garage door, then goes through the real door that gets into the house from the garage, that empties into what looks like an open concept kitchen and dining. So now I just want, and I've already covered what I believe Nancy is describing occurred from the time that this garage opens. She's left to go into her own home. That was just covered in the video before this, live this evening, called Spirit. Part 7, Spirit. So if you don't know about those videos, I'm not going to repeat everything from Spirit because I just did it like a few hours ago. So if you really want to know my blow by blow of what's gone on in that home from the moment she gets through this garage door, it's all on spirit. And that's something that you can just listen back to. Now, by the way, yes, I'm gonna just add a little bit more here. Okay, just gotta cue up the next. Okay, I'm gonna just cue up the next because I wanna start talking about, in the spirit video, I talked about everything that's going on at home from the garage door through the abduction and to the holding home where she's being held hostage for the brief time before she dies. So same thing, that's all on that video spirit. So I'm gonna cue up. This video is gonna focus on the perpetrators at this point. I want everything to be focused on the perpetrators, and I would actually say trigger warning because I will be kind of discussing what they did. Let me just cue up the next. And where did I go on that? Oh, I think it's 45. I think what might be happening with her when she's racing it forward as if, okay, and then all of a sudden it goes from, like, she got home around 10 p.m. Now she's showing me this thing that, okay, she got some water. I believe she went to the kitchen for water. I believe she got her meds from the kitchen, took the meds, and did whatever routine she does. And funny enough, call me crazy, God, I don't know if those back doors enter right to her kitchen, but she's giving me this impression, oddly enough, that she closed the kitchen window. Call me crazy. I don't know the layout of that kitchen, but all of a sudden I'm just feeling when she's in the kitchen, there's something about closing the window in the kitchen. And okay, and I'm not getting an actual, I'm asking her to show me, I get the feeling she's taken meds. She needed that glass of water. Everything is normal. I don't even think she bathed or showered or anything. I think this was an evening where she was just going to take the meds, go to bed. And honestly, I get this wild impression she's got a book. So, you could think maybe she watched TV. Maybe she just, got on her cell phone and called people. You never know. Maybe she answered some texts. She was out all night at dinner. She has her own cell phone. Her pacemaker's connected to it. You know what it's like. You come home and you check a few things if you're up to it on your cell phone. So, again, I just get this whole feeling of it's normal. And I'm kind of asking her spirit, when you're in the kitchen, do you sense anything out back? And that's 10 p.m. Okay, and this is what her spirit's telling me. Okay, when I'm seeing her in the kitchen and kind of thinking, okay, I'll go get ready for bed, I do feel there's one person, but they're not on the property yet. Listen to this. They are not on the property yet. So, but you know what? But what she truly is showing me is whoever's out back, there's only one person out back though, okay? And they're not there yet, okay? This is the crazy thing. How are they doing that? It's almost giving me the impression that...
Come on. Okay, come on. Careful.
Come on in. Damn, they're not on her property, but boy, do I ever get the impression
Come on, baby.
that they do know when she's home. Like, they know the difference, okay? So they could be...
Listen to this.
My impression is there's one person watching from a distance. There's one person watching from the distance. They're not on the land yet. That's the way it's being presented to me. They're watching from a distance. They're not on the land. They are on foot. They are definitely dressed in dark clothing, pretty much head to toe, the whole thing. This person is also slim, and I'm feeling the person out back is actually the taller. If there's two perps, what she's showing me is I feel like the one out back
I love you too.
is the taller out of the two. And honestly,
Oh, honey, your claws.
this is what keeps showing.
Okay, I love you, but the claws are killing me, girl.
The doorbell person, the guy
Sorry,
the person
baby.
that's always seen at
Claws
the
are too tight on
doorbell
me tonight.
area
Nope.
at front of the house, and the person who's walking onto the property somehow through the back. They are definitely gaining access somehow. Like the way it's being described to me, it's like one of them is kind of like slinking between, what a word to use, slinking. So someone could be very calculated with how they're moving and being hidden, and then they move a little more and they're hidden by something. So I really want to say one of them has gained access from slinking around through the neighborhood. I swear to God, slinking around through the back side of that home and the back side of that neighborhood there. Yeah, because you know why as well? Yeah, like, geez, it's creepy. I feel like they do, like, you know that word, the word footpath, you know, when people really know what footpath to take. Oh, no, just follow this foot, you know, like, here. Whoever is helping the person that shows up the front door, well, I'm telling you, they were as skilled as making their way through this neighborhood on foot and remarkably not drawing attention. Like remarkably.
Okay, baby,
So
baby.
I'm gonna kind of when I'm seeing that, I'm like, well,
Gonna leave this here.
geez, like, is it because the person's known in the neighborhood and they wouldn't have that on them? But anyway, I don't know if I want to sit on that phrase really, but it's like, whoa. But I am seeing that they get, like, either maybe they're doing it at night at the same time when there's less people with eyes on them, but I swear it's almost like they really got in there on foot. They got there on foot. It's still giving me the impression that whoever picked Nancy up, whoever really had to come to the house and, you know, pick up the body, I swear that's the only car. Like, they've done something well where they're making sure they're not risking vehicles in the neighborhood, okay? No. So this is one of the things that I really believe that these people are smart enough to not get trapped by. They are absolutely limiting car visits. Mm-hmm. I really do not feel that they use cars at any point to do their own surveillance of this property. And you know what's really, like, I am hearing this expression when I'm out the back door trying to determine, because I was trying to ask her a little earlier when I got on this. I was trying to ask when she's in the kitchen. I do not know if those back doors connect to the kitchen at all. Okay, I do not have that knowledge. So I'm asking her, what about those flower pots leaving the back doors open? Like, because it is known that, you know, the scene was discovered that those doors were open for whatever reason. So here's the thing. Yeah, I'm just trying to put this together because it's like, okay, so at least what's being confirmed is whoever the second perp is that gains access to the house, this person's coming on foot. And this makes me now think that they are coming in at night. I don't know what time the perp at the front door came on January 11th. That person was seen on another video, but I don't know if it was ever published what time of day. And I've never seen that video. And I don't know if it was also just recorded at night. But when I'm seeing this little scene where the second person is somehow coming from behind the property to get into the property, it makes me even wonder, because I keep hearing eyes on the back door. Okay, so eyes on the back door. So yeah, there's someone watching the back door, I swear. So if they were able to do that, it makes me wonder, did they plant their own surveillance camera? I know that sounds flippin' crazy, but I'm hearing they have eyes on the back door. So either it is by a person watching it and somehow being able to do that. The neighbor's dog did alert at approximately 1:40, it's believed, that morning, 1:40. So I really feel like one of the perps definitely came through. I mean, there's no broken entrance, you know, there's no other way anyone's speculating that they got in anyway, and the doors are wide open. So and some people on my page were commenting that Nancy was actually known for propping the doors open. So who knows? It's kind of hard to say. She's not showing that to me one way or another, but what I am seeing is one that they definitely came in the back, because I really feel this dude having eyes on the back door. That's eyes on the back door. And what an expression, eyes on the back door. That's the way it's coming through, eyes on the back door. So did they, like, spy cameras are freaking tiny these days. Like, they are tiny. So with all of those gadgets that the front door guy or girl had in the knapsack, and I already know they were on some form of comms, it makes me wonder, like, could they have had their own little spy devices on the back door? But I definitely see a dude out there, like, that is being shown to me. It's a little creepy. And I do have to say slinking. Like, that is so weird, the slinking.
Wow.
Slinking, as if they're, like, crouching and making sure they're not being seen.
Yeah.
So that's the impression I'm getting at the back door, and I feel only one perp somehow watching that back door, period. He's just watching the back door, and I believe it's one of the ways that they truly do know she's settling in there. And maybe that is perhaps because if she's truly in the kitchen and she's got to come in and turn on some lights or something,
I feel they were watching the back door. So I feel that they were waiting for her movements there.
Okay, I'm going to pause for a second because the next part gets a little creepy. But I want to go back to a second where this was talking about the second person that's arriving on foot. And just for the whole purposes of the series of videos that I've done on this case, they're numbered 1 through 7, and this is going to be number 8. I don't know what point did I want to make. Okay, so when I'm trying to describe how many people are part of this mission and operation to abduct and hold Nancy Guthrie, in the second visit that Nancy showed up in my bedroom wearing white, she really distinctly showed me that there are 2 people in the house. So I'm always going to be saying there's 2 people in the house during this crime. There's no more than that. However, the more and more we've looked into this and the more and more we've done these mini readings, I am adding up perpetrators. I'm adding them up. And I want people to be expressly clear, or well, I guess I should reverse that. I wish to be expressly clear. Perp number 1, I'm going to recap just so you understand, because this is a new live, and just so you know what I'm talking about, because when I start to identify people and can bring in, their personality traits, and in essence, with clairvoyance, you can do a profile. You really can, because you're gaining enough information. I've coined a new phrase, spy on the wall, because you know what it's like having fly on the wall, right? And how much the fly knows everything. Well, spy on the wall, and that's what clairvoyance can be used for. So I want to do a quick recap, because I'm going to be more and more specific. And the reason I want to be more and more specific on each of these perps, and I'm adding them up, I actually now believe, now that we've done more of these readings and I distinguish between one clue to the next and put everything where I feel it fits in this puzzle. Perp 1, the person on the door camera, they already know is approximately 5 feet 9 inches, 5 feet 10 inches. There's debate whether that is a male or a female. Either way, I'm calling that individual Perp 1. Now, what you just heard here on the reading, talking about a second person on foot, and I know the media and everybody knows that, people, and this is interesting because what I'm going to say, part of this mission as the whole group, the 5 of them, I believe there's at least 5 of them, and when they plan this, I know for sure they are being extremely cautious about cars coming in and out, even on their surveillance earlier. And you know that the front door person was on camera, at least I believe it was January 11. So, okay, now what I have discussed in other videos, perp number 1, I distinctly believe that person has done time and that person is a burglar. And what I've been shown since then is we actually do believe that perp 1 for real, and I know other people have picked this up, so kudos. And I just wait until I either see it or not. It finally showed in the reading that I did with my sister on April 16th or so. And what was crazy is we both feel one of the perpetrators is a boxer. I actually saw that. So I don't know if it's perp 1 that is the boxer or perp 2 in the house, one of them is a boxer, okay? Now, when Nancy has described perp 1 in the house and perp 2 in the house, this is discussed in the video called Spirit, Part 7 for Nancy Guthrie series, so I don't want to repeat it again. Okay. What was I saying? All right. So, yeah, let me grab my thoughts again. Okay, hold on. By the way, I have a question for you. Have you ever tried a slice of orange in your cup of tea? I'm asking for a specific reason. I'm just going to put that in because there's a clue that my sister gave us. I'm going to talk about it in a second. Okay. So going back to perp 1 and 2, just so I'm allowing people to be clear. Perp 1 has done time. I know it, for real. Some of the problems catching these people may relate to the fact that although this is a crew that's been assembled, I've been given the information that only one has actually done time for crime. Going back to this idea that perp 1 is a burglar, and I believe perp 2, who keeps showing up on foot, he's like, both of them are, perp 1 and 2, you never see cars parked, okay? They don't want cars around. They don't want cars on camera at all. And it is one of the ways that they are proficiently and efficiently reducing risk. All right. And I even hear that when I think of these people. So this was an operation. This was like a very well orchestrated operation with each member of the team having specific tasks. I'm going to play more of the reading, but I really have to reiterate that when I see this being formulated and the number of people that are involved, they were highly coordinated, as you've already known, as if I have to tell you that, but highly coordinated. And you've also seen that there's no nerves on camera, okay? So even perp 1, if this is the person that's done time, I'm willing to bet it's for burglary. And with, with the terminology that comes up in the reading, that's why I wanted to play it in the way that you would have heard me if you were in the room having the reading. The way Spirit delivers phrases, they can be beyond descriptive. They can not just be descriptive. They can be a beeline to the exact person you're trying to find. Okay, so I learned so long ago, like the first year that I hit the public, doing tea leaf readings way back in like 1997, there was this wild moment that I realized I was getting readings and people were coming out going, wow, yeah, that was cool. Everything you said came true, but something else, and I need more specifics. I need more details. And I remember the moment that the client said, I need more specifics and details. Swear to the heavens, all of a sudden I was transported and I was in the void, okay? I was in the void, and the greatest, coolest thing about being in the void is that you're kind of suspended in this emptiness of darkness, right? But the cool thing about it, like of the blackness of the void, it's not like the night where you feel like, oh, it's really dark out here, and if the moon's not out, you don't really see much, and you're like, oh, who's behind the bushes? Well, what's crazy is like not the same. Anyway, I'm gonna maybe not drift off here. Let me stick to some other stuff, because now I'm kind of thinking I got to keep focused, because the spirits kind of lead me off and they start to speak in metaphors, and I'm going like, where was I? Okay, so I don't even remember what I was saying on that, but oh, I'm telling you, it's early in the morning, like Okay, so the other thing I want to differentiate between perp 1 and 2 in the precise. Okay, I was talking about phrases. Okay, these phrases, like she's using the phrase slinking around. Okay, now I know the police have checked out back. What I get the impression of when they're talking about someone out back slinking around, you guys have seen the photos where you can see her pool and the neighbor who's behind her. That's the neighbor whose dog alerted both times. That front door person was seen on camera twice. Okay, that dog alerted. So thank you to the dog kingdom. We as humans have to understand, what are they trying to say? It's unfortunate, right? Like when a dog alerts and you know that they are a true guardian for a human, I think it takes a lot of courage to actually follow where that dog is going. The owner let the dog out, but here's the thing. These dudes are, I feel both of them are burglars, 1 and 2. They must be, for just all the things that they're doing. Now, talking about slinking around at back, I want you to picture her home as if you're looking at the photo. Sorry, I don't have it here. But if you've seen the photo and you know where the front door is, and you've seen the aerials and you know where her pool is, and again, I'm referring to that neighbor at the back. Okay. Where I see perp number 2 coming from is, if you were to be at her pool, okay, be at her pool, but I don't want you to go towards her neighbor that way, where the person whose dog alerted. You're not going straight back. I want you to come down this way, okay? And if you were, hey, by the way, if anybody knows the actual placement of Nancy's home with respect to whether it was on a north side of the street, was it on a south side of the street? Was it on an east side of the street? Was it on the west side of the street? I'd love to know that if you actually know those bearings, because I want to reference a couple of things. Okay, because I would love to know this. If someone is slinking around the back, what I see happening is they are somehow making it through where the side neighbors are. Okay, the way I'm seeing it is, if you go from the pool, and I know I'm opposite here, but if you're at the pool, and if we're looking at a photo, I'm telling you that this person slinked way from the left. And what is interesting about that as well, when I start talking about the car and the vehicle, how it left, when they come out of the driveway, they also turn right. And if they come out of the driveway and turn right, they would be going in the same direction as that dude slinking, in the direction I see him going in alongside the pool, and he's somehow going behind those neighbors' homes. And I've seen aerials, so there are homes, okay, adjacent there, but that's where perp number 2 is all the time. Now, what I still find interesting is the expression eyes on the back door. That's another reason that I feel these 2 people, I want to confirm by that, because I've already suspect they were burglars before this reading, April 16th. But the reading on April 16th for me, when I'm hearing slinking around and I'm hearing eyes on the back door, these are people that are obviously used to crime. That's criminal lingo. Hey, you got the eyes on the back door, you got the eyes on the front door. Okay, so there's a front door perp, there's a back door perp. There really are 2. It's not the same, okay? 2 people. The other interesting thing about describing these 2 people, perp 1 and 2, that are the burglars, Nancy described them specifically by saying they are a generation apart. Okay, so we surmise that could be father, son, uncle, nephew. What about if it's mother and son? What about if it's father, daughter? You never know. Hey, crime families are crime families. People who are used to crime, they roll with people who do crime. So, and like I'm saying, we're getting indication that the two people who are in the house, one of them has boxing in their background. And if Perp 1 is the one who did time, you also have to wonder, you know, were they in the jail yard, like, is there a boxing thing, you know, like punching bag? Anyway, just, okay, so that's descriptive. I'm sticking to that. Perp 1, Perp 2, forever named that way by me. Perp 1, Perp 2, both Mexicans. Okay, so going to Perp 3 again. Okay, so going to Perp 3, I've said on earlier videos, and I will confirm again, he's never in the home. So with respect to the people in the home who are responsible for infiltrating the home, securing Nancy, and I think sedating in some way, like gentle sedation, not putting her out. Okay, so they are a two-person team that literally have to somehow corner Nancy. And what's disturbing to me is it's on the reading. This idea, okay, I want to go back to the footpath. This idea of the footpath out back. I learned in the last few days again, because I just started to try to find all sorts of information on this. I believe in Arizona they have a term that's called washes, and it is sort of well, I don't know if it's fair to say pathways, but access, you can walk through them. Now, I don't know if it's public between homes where, you know, if you had a neighborhood where all these homes are around each other and somehow there's some sort of washes footpath in the middle, it's not quite a park, right? But that seems to be the term. And when I'm seeing the person slinking around in the back, it was questioned in this reading, could they seriously, if they have eyes on the back so well, could they have planted, trail cams are pretty large, but if you guys know any type of spyware, there must be cameras that are like, I know it sounds crazy, but they're watching her. They really are watching her. And here's the thing. She gets home at 10. She's shown me, as I've described in the spirit video previous to this, that she's telling me times rolling forward. So honestly, it was calm. And this is what I was really seeing. This is kind of interesting. It's kind of shaped as a heart. Isn't that sweet? Okay. This is what is disturbing to me, and it's on the recording here. I'm just going to like brief you before I play it again. I feel these two guys are waiting in those washes, if that's what you call them, two of them. And the one does have to come around the front, but the second person is not taking their eyes off that back door. So by the time Perp 1 shows up on the camera, I am still suggesting both of them end up out back, okay? And they were watching the back. Now, if you've seen where the garage is, if that garage door really opened up and she was let out there, the garage is sort of like, let's say the garage is here. Yeah, I'm gonna explain this like this, okay. So if the garage is here and we're going towards that neighbor's backyard over here, the doors are on this side of the property where the pool is, right? And there's more than one door there, by the way. Okay. And the garage door that she went through comes into that dining area. So now we're at the section of the house that overlooks the backyard that I want to talk about. Because this is what's very disturbing in the next part of the reading. As they have eyes on the back door, they are distinctly watching Nancy's movement at the back of the house. Okay, so now knowing the layout, I do believe that the back of the house, because I've seen now where her bedroom is on a grid map, okay, on a floor plan, in relation to the pool, her bedroom must be pretty darn close to where, like, I wonder if she's overlooking the pool, for instance, because she's in that section of the house with her bedroom. And then I believe that the photos I've seen are true, of course. It looks like her bedroom directly empties into what's I'm calling the open concept kitchen, because there is a faucet there and a sink. You can definitely see it. And there's a photo online that does show Savannah and her mom with that laptop, okay? If you've seen that photo with the laptop and they're trying to figure out what's on the laptop, who the freak knows? But it's showing me where the kitchen sink is in relation to Nancy's bedroom. And she's got a door to that room. Okay, so that to me is important in the layout. Okay, so if her bedroom truly has a window at the back, and where that kitchen sink area is, because the kitchen dining open concept thing looked quite like a good floor plan of her home, but the faucet I believe is at the back. Okay, if the bedroom is. So if I've got that layout right, who the heck knows? But the way they are watching it from the back, as it's been described to me, it's almost like they're watching that. Oh, look it. Because you'll see the whole line of the house. You'll see as she's moving through where the lights are on. And this is what I see them waiting for. They know the layout of that part of the house. Okay. They may have access previously to the same Today Show footage that I have discovered that does have images of Nancy Guthrie's home. And so it could be as simple as that. But when I'm looking at these people looking at the mission here, we got to infiltrate the home. We got to, like, you know, control her, subdue her, sedate her is really what I'm getting. Subdue and sedate. So again, this is the mission of the two people in the home. They are the two people that are infiltrating, securing, potentially sedating, to remove. Okay, that's their mission. That's what we got to do. Our mission is this. Get her ready for moving her out of the house. Okay, so I'm told that they know the layout of the back part of the house. So it could be as simple as they saw the Today Show. Okay, and there is the bedroom beside that open concept. So they're watching for her from the back, and they're watching for lights to be changing. And the way it comes out in the reading is they were not, first of all, going to take a chance of having only one perpetrator in the house, because the impression is that they have been around crime. They may have already done such things that they know how to hold a person in a room. That's my impression. They know how to hold someone in a room. So I believe that their mission was to watch her movement through the home as she is settling in. That's the expression, next one that I got, settling in. They wanted her settled in. They did not want her near the door closest to that kitchen sink. There must be a door on that side of the building, because that's what everything shows on that side of the building, the backyard. It's got to be where the kitchen window looks out from where she's showing me she's closing the window when she gets home, which I've discussed in spirit. And they're watching her. They're literally watching her go from one room. Oh, look, she's going over here. Oh, and then she's going to finally be in her bedroom. And I swear, the way it's being shown to me, they have planned it to wait until she's in the bedroom. So why would that be? It could be as simple as there's only one entrance and exit to that bedroom. There's no other door in the bedroom that goes to the external part of the property. There's no way that she can get to the back of the property if she tried to run for it. Also, if she's in the open concept kitchen and dining area, you look at the floor plan, she could be at one end of it very easily that's closer to the garage, and she can also be at the other end closer to the pool area. You can see it in the photo. There's a whole line, it's open. Okay, so they are watching her move from one location to the next at the back, though. I know the garage is on the side, but I'm talking about all the windows that face the pool area, because that's where they're watching from. And, you know, the dog could have just simply alerted, obviously, because someone was there. I do not believe the dog alerted when they were trying to get her out of the house. The dog alerted when they were getting ready to go into the house. I feel like they were extremely close to watch those lights. Okay, so if they don't have a little peeper camera somehow where they're watching it from another device, who knows? Like, Perp 3 is very sophisticated in communications and technology, so do not underestimate this team when these expressions are being used to describe them. It could mean, well, you know, it's really bizarre. Okay, so I'm going to say, though, that Perp 1, like, that Perp's not great on technology. It's Perp 3, okay? Perp 3 is exceedingly good on technology and communications. So, could that person know how to spy very easily through a hidden camera or whatever? But they're also there physically. Either way, both of them are waiting to come in the back door, and they are slinking around in the bushes and the brushes of the desert in between the homes. That's really what's happening. And what I'm seeing is, if the FBI, you know, really was trying to gather any type of forensics, I could just see that one of the perps, especially like Perp 2, Perp 1 is funny. Perp 1, honestly, I don't think can bend. And this is what my sister got. She actually did see. She knew nothing about the case. She didn't know anything about anybody knowing anything about these door persons and the perpetrators. Nothing. She didn't know anything. And she described one of the perps as having a foot problem. And if you do watch how Perp 1 walks around getting that foliage, that person is not bending one part of their leg. So it was already surmised by some of the investigators that was an interesting part to look at on their body. It shows that there's a restriction there or a lack of movement, so that could be injury. What the heck? You could even have a pin in your shin for all we know. But my sister actually saw it as a foot problem. It could be a foot problem that is also an issue with one of the perps. Okay, so going back to how they're slinking around the back and the fact that we know that the dog alerted somewhere around 1:40, let's say. I think it was 1:40 a.m. Nancy showed me that I actually do think it's darn close to 2. Well, it's pretty much 4 hours. Like what she's showing me is it is pretty much 4 hours before these people make it into her home. Okay, so if she truly did get home at 9:50 p.m. on January 31, that would mean that she really is giving me a 4-hour mark right to 1:50. Dog alerts at 1:40. These people are in her home by, I think, 1:50 to 2 a.m. I think they truly are there. And you can go back, of course, to what the police put out for when all of the devices start to clock off. But I believe it's at least 10 to 2 that they are finally in the home. And I truly do not believe that they were in the home earlier from everything that I scanned. So, and here's the other reason that's explained in the previous video called Spirit. When Nancy is showing me all of the little things she's doing before she realizes they're there, she is alerted to them by hearing a creaking door. There's a sound of creaking. So with all of the doors that are on the pool side of the property, at least 2, and I know there are sliding doors, but it's not sliding doors. I believe there's sliding doors on that side. No one's coming in the sliding doors. It's a creaking of the door. So it is either, if she is describing in that sound, either of the regular back doors on the pool side, I would have to say, if she's really describing those doors, one of them would need to be creaking. So that would maybe be just something that the family would know. Does one of those doors creak? But the other potential in her saying that is there is a bedroom door. And I do believe I believe she was in bed reading a book, is what I believe that night. And she certainly, well, let's just say, I believe she was in the bedroom when they entered the property. And I'm convinced of this for several reasons that come up on the reading. Number one, what she shows me, like she's telling me she's halfway between a book and it's on the table. So it gives me the impression then, were you reading it that night? Yeah. Okay, so where do I want to go from here? Because these perps, to describe the perps again, I haven't even gotten to the driver yet, because when I separate the missions of each of these individuals, the mission of perp 3, he is the communications dude, and I do accuse perp 3 as being the true instigator of this crime. He's come up with the idea. It's a Caucasian person. He's come up with the idea because I believe his status is slipping. There's, and even when people have money, like, especially maybe if people have money, who hasn't been hit by the economy anyway, besides the point. But I really feel perp 3, Caucasian male, communications expert, possibly journeyman, lineman, somehow in his background, services corporations, with his communications and technology abilities. And it gives me the impression that somehow he's come down financially a couple of notches through, well, like I said, status, but it could also include any other sundry things where we've got to go, whoa, I don't have as much and I need some cash. So truly, if you want to see my take on that, everything I feel about what the motive really is and how it came about, that is discussed in a previous video called The Motive. And I believe that's part 7 as well. Part 6 or 7, I'm sorry. So, okay, so Perp 3, I want to keep that description open. And the other thing that's very important to know about Perp 3 is never at Nancy's house. It is not his part of the mission to be on location. He is not on location. He is on the communication network, dispatching the car, making sure that Perp 1 and 2 have secured the package, and have her ready for relocating. So, Perp 3 is also wise enough never ever to be around the location that they are holding her in. I believe it's Perp 3 that liked the idea of the Bitcoin wallets and Bitcoin payments. And that really, seriously, this is about cash, but it was directed at the family. Okay, I am absolutely unaware of what Nancy Guthrie might be worth in her own person. No clue. Savannah and Michael are holding their own financially. I feel that the person, Perp 3, who devised this idea to, I need cash, how am I going to get it? Their focus came onto the family. It wasn't like, oh, there's Nancy. They started to become focused on the family because the family has the money. And Nancy was just part of, oh, how do we extract the money out of the family? That's how I think this came about. Savannah would have been really like high profile kidnapping. Michael, if it's a communication expert, and Nancy has given me the name Michael, and Savannah's husband is Michael, and he's a communications expert. I'm not saying that Michael did this. I distinctly saw when I was hearing the name Michael given to me by Nancy, it was the impression that Michael knows the perpetrators, but he may not be aware of it at all. Okay, so I know Savannah's brother felt that this kidnapping happened because of Savannah. It wasn't specifically Savannah. I feel it was that this Perp 3 somehow had eyes on the family one way or another from whatever circles, and I believe it is private or personal circles, Perp 3 may have with Savannah and Michael. This is, every time I'm looking at it, I have to say that. It's someone in their circles, but it still wasn't a target of Savannah. It really wasn't. It was the family. That's what I keep hearing. The family, the family, the family has money, you know, and let's go. Yeah, it makes sense. Let's kidnap the old lady. I know it sounds horrible. Don't mean to refer to her that way, but that's their thinking. Let's kidnap the old lady. Can't be that hard. But the other thing I want to stress with this, when they were thinking this mission out, they know not to underestimate how hard it is to like restrain someone with only one party doing it. Even if it's an elder woman, it's still, that's a risky job if you want to be a sole perpetrator in trying to restrain someone. So this team knew 2 people had to be in that house. And again, we're going to go from perp 3 and we're going to jump for a second because perp 3 is the Caucasian. And I actually believe that this person is somehow connected to Topanga Canyon outside of LA. And what's interesting about me feeling that is going back to Michael and the communications firms that he leads, which are huge and corporate, it makes me wonder if the perp actually has something to do with their Los Angeles headquarters. Potentially, maybe. Okay, here's the other thing. I've seen perp 3 on like one of those headpieces, and I see him on that all the time. And when we tuned into him more recently on April 16th, and my sister helped with a portion of it, this is one clue that we both saw right away when we were on the reading together. And it is definitely one more clue to perp 3, the Caucasian. We see this perp around music. Now, don't lose your shit. Okay. Oh, sorry. Don't lose your shit. It's still not Tommaso. Now, the interesting thing about people wondering if it was Tommaso's band member, and please forgive me, I'm not going to remember his name on purpose. What is interesting is people do think he looks like perp 1 at the door camera. Okay. And people do know that I believe he plays the bass. Okay. So he is around music. Okay. But they keep showing me that the connection is truly more with Savannah and Michael unknowingly, okay? And I am definitely not accusing Savannah or Michael to be part of this. I would bet my life on it. I know it. No family member is connected to this, okay? It's who they know that is the issue. Now, just being a pause for the perp 3, just want to consider one thing as an offshoot. With Savannah and her broadcasting, can we consider, especially if I keep seeing perp 3 where one of these head, like, you know, the pieces that go along your head and you can talk into it, communications with respect to broadcasting. Now, I don't know if the journeyman or the lineman angle would work with someone Savannah knows, but the reason I just want to at least throw it in the ring is broadcasters do use those headpieces. Broadcasters could be great at communication. So I'm not really sure. It honestly really hits better for me to look at Michael and his corporation, to be honest. I have to be really, but I keep seeing that Savannah could know the person indirectly as well. So I'm just bouncing back and forth considering some of the clues there, but I must admit I'm more on the communications conglomerate that Michael now owns, that happens to have a head office in LA. And I received another clue the other night that makes me really say there could be an LA connection to this perp, number 3, the Caucasian, okay? Okay, so he's never around the house. He's never around the car that picks her up. He's not the driver. Okay, want to be careful when I'm counting up the bodies of the perpetrators here. He just planned it all in his office. My sister and I both confirmed that we could see him just leaning against a desk, and I saw it to be a really nice desk. Then my sister was picking up piano, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, whoa, it's not just piano. I actually distinctly saw 2 baby grand pianos. So what a wickedly clear clue. So perp 3 could enjoy music. Why do I see more than 1 baby grand? Could this also be someone, obviously, that either really plays the piano, or maybe is the family fixing, maintaining, supplying, tuning pianos? Sometimes people have pianos because they are expert tuners and are fixing them. I'm not sure this guy's fixing pianos, but we distinctly see pianos. So, perp 3 has some sort of enjoyment of stylish, possibly expensive pianos. Adding up the clues. Okay, so this is where I feel we gotta start talking about perp number 4 and perp number 5. Because as I've scanned for what happens once they get Nancy across her threshold out the front door. Okay, I still want to go to what's happening in the house. Now, how late are we already? Because always these go on and on and on. Oh my God. No way. How long have I been on? Okay, it's already late. Okay, shoot. I don't know if I should do 1 or 2 parts. Okay. In case I have to split, I might have to split these into 2 parts because they get so long. Okay, but few things that I would still want to talk about. Again, looking at who did what. Let's stay on the home for a second. Perp 4 comes to the home. Perp 4 is dispatched with the efforts of perp 3 communicating over the comms to perp 2 and perp 1 that perp 4 will be coming soon. Perp 4 will be arriving in a vehicle. And what's really incredible is, okay, this is how I'm going to split it up. Instead of playing the rest of the readings like I did earlier on the live, what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this, that the readings will be the continuation. Okay, and then you can listen to the whole reading all at once on everything to do with this mission. And I'll load that as a subsequent. Okay, so I'm going to try to finish with just what I'm seeing in the home so you guys understand the roles of each of these perps. And the other reason I want to do this specifically is, yes, to count the number of perps involved so that if this were and when this can be solved, you don't want to leave someone out getting arrested if they contributed to the crime. Okay, so I'm counting them up so we know how to ring them up. Okay, and oh, that's a nice slip of the tongue. Let's ring them up because they screwed with that ring camera and they were smart enough. Let's go back to the technology. Okay, because let's remember that perp 3, although perp 3 is not at the house, perp 3 is coordinating everybody at the house. Okay, and perp 3 knows how to fuck with technology and communications. So even though we see perp 1 to have the knapsack where I feel there's walkie-talkies in there, somebody else pointed out there's a signal jammer. I want to know that because I just don't know anything. But somebody did point out that thing coming out of perp 1's pocket at the front door camera video. There's some sort of signal jammer. What's interesting about these people being astute enough to know to jam things, even if cell phone and Wi-Fi power are low in her region, that's known because of the way it situates in whatever this is, the foothills, it's not the same reception at other levels. So They already know it's a good location to screw with because it's not the best strength. But they were smart enough. Did you know this? This is how astute they were. There's a house that is across the street on the front side of Nancy's house. It doesn't directly look over the front doorway or the driveway that is circular. It's a little off to one side. And what's interesting about it is, depending on where you are positioned on that circular driveway, there are a lot of covered angles on a visual track. Okay, so if you were at the neighbor's house across the street, for instance, you really don't have a clear view to her door anyway. You really don't. You might get lucky to see who's coming out of the driveway though. You'd be really lucky seeing who's coming out of the driveway from that angle. And if you haven't seen it, I did see through media that these perps were astute enough for the house across the street front door. That house had cameras on a side of their property that was further away, and they had cameras on the front that would have at least seen Nancy's driveway. Those people jammed the front camera. They didn't even touch the other cameras. And if you've been with me in the beginning on this video, I stated that I believe when these perps come out of the driveway, circular or not, it doesn't matter which side you pulled in on that circular driveway. Choose, you do it, envision. You still have to make either a left turn coming out of the driveway or a right turn. I'm insisting they turned right. What's interesting about these people jamming the front neighbor's front camera, from what I understood, the front camera was jammed and could not access any information whatsoever, but the 3 cameras that were facing, if you were to go left out of the driveway, the neighbor's cameras were facing that direction. Those ones were working. So what does that tell you? Because their house is, if you're looking at the front door, and you know the house that I'm talking about across the street, if you're looking at it like a photo, that house across the street is a little further down. Okay, so it makes me kind of say, I know that they turned right. I'm sorry, that's confirming to me that they turned right because they didn't give a crap about what was going left up the street, whatever direction that is. And if you guys know, please tell me. I don't know where her home is situated, but you know, for some reason they kept reporting. When I started first looking at this, her address was coming up as being East Skyline Drive and Campbell or North Campbell, if you guys have seen that. That is not true, because that is absolutely not true. She does not live on East Skyline. And the reason this is very important as well for finding where she was taken in the next location, she tells me that she's been taken 23 minutes north. And what's interesting about that is if you have the wrong location, you can't get that exact distance properly. Okay, so I can't remember it now because it's on that phone, but when I saw her yellow flowers, beautiful yellow flowers, that's why I'm using this tonight to honor Nancy. When I saw, sorry, I'm going blank on what we call it when we have a beautiful display of the flowers outside the home as a bit of a monument to the dead. I saw the mailbox and the number was 5820. So I looked that up and she's not on Skyline. I finally found her address and I believe it's North Escalante, but Camino, is it North Escalante? So if she's on Camino Escalante, number 5820, and you do GPS readings 23 minutes from there, that's going to be an accurate description of where they took her. It's 23 minutes north of her home. Okay, so let's go back to if they truly turn right coming out of either part of the circular driveways, but it makes me feel that they chose the one looking at the front door as if it's a photo. They must have chosen to come in the first part of that driveway because I'm convinced that's the direction they were coming in. They turned right to leave. Okay, so that means they've come from that direction. It would make sense they're pulling in the first part of the circular driveway, and all they have to do, all the driver, perp 4. This is how I'm introducing perp 4. Perp 4 is the driver, okay? And he's arriving, he's coming in the circular driveway, and he's coming up to that part as close to that walkway directly outside of the terracotta and brick entrance, exterior entrance. They are coming down that little tiny area that leads to that circular drive, and I am convinced they have levitated her off of her feet. This woman is not walking out her threshold. They are carrying her out, and this is what I want to go back to. Before they're leaving the house and the driver's coming, okay? And I got major description on this driver, but I'm going to cover that in a separate. Still want to kind of pinpoint what perp 1 and 2 and 3 are coordinating in the home. Okay, so they know the driver's coming. The driver is being dispatched by perp 3. And over the comms, perp 1 and 2 are hearing it. And so is Nancy, okay? Nancy, at this point, has been taken from her bedroom. And perp 1 and 2, okay, like I said earlier, they waited for the lights to be changing and she must have been turning them out as they were watching her. Oh, look, they don't want her close to the back door. They do not want to have to grab and nab her in any form of the kitchen where there must be more than one door somehow accessing off this kitchen one way or another on that side of the building, because they do not want her near the doors. I'm telling you that now. I see it in their heads. They do not want her near the door because it's too damn close to the back neighbor. And let's remember, perp 1 visited on January 11 and the back neighbor's dog alerted, okay? They still got to come in there, but they are not taking the risk of her screaming near a door. Okay? It's just not happening. And it makes you wonder, did she really prop those doors open on her own? You know, it makes you wonder. I didn't see it one way or another, but it does make you wonder. And honestly, I really don't think they needed to take a lot of other things in that back door. If they were the ones who propped it open, whatever, it's still an access point, period. And I see them skulking around, waiting until she is not near the parameter. They want her on the interior, okay? And what perp 1 and 2 are planning, and I want to make this clear because this is like terrifying. They know they don't want her screaming out the back door, okay? So the way they are going to take care of that, they're waiting for her to get to her bedroom, I swear. They are waiting for her to get to her bedroom because they can contain her. That is what the mission is. We need to restrainer, contain her, and restrainer is what goes on in the bedroom, okay? That's really what it is. So, and she really did show me, and it's very disturbing. It's very disturbing. One of these two perps, you know, they must be also working together, perp 1 and 2, because they're obviously a team on this caper. But when I'm seeing them in the bedroom, when they finally access the bedroom, they are immediately cordoning off the bedroom door, specifically and purposely. And perp 2, the other thing that Nancy showed me is when she was describing the two perps in the home, please remember that she said generation apart with respect to their ages. So there could be a generation apart, meaning family difference in generations, or they could simply be 20 years apart in age, if that's the case. However, another distinguishing visual she gave me is when she's seeing them move around in the kitchen while she is seated, especially on the couch, because once they contain her in the bedroom and restrain her in the bedroom, she's not coming out of that bedroom unrestrained. I can assure you that is what I'm seeing, and it's ingrained in me. And when I'm seeing this, I want to go back to when she sees them in the kitchen from the couch and can like really see them a little bit away from her. She's showing me that there's like this kind of a difference with also how tall they are. Okay, so they're not equal heights. Okay. And I'm not measuring it against my body right now. I'm just saying that they are equal heights. I'm sorry, they are not equal heights. She's shown me this visual that when she's looking at their heads, there's going to be that much of a visual distance in their height. Okay, so if perpetrator 1 has been measured approximately 5'9" to 5'10", perpetrator 2 is either really tall, being something crazy like 6'4", 6'5", or could be approximately 5'5", 5'4". I'm thinking, if she's showing me this kind of difference. 4 inches, 5 inches difference in their height. Okay. So this is what I'm seeing in the bedroom. Whoever is the taller of the two, that person's job, while they are containing her and restraining her in the bedroom, the taller person is standing in the doorway. The door is closed, and when I'm looking at that person, for me it's very disturbing, because this person knows how to lock down a room and to be like the person guarding the door. No one's getting through the door. So the shorter person has gone to the bed, whether Nancy has reacted yet or not, but she has been alerted by a creaking door. So I'm still trying to discern, is it one of the back doors on the pool side that is the creaking door that she's alerted to? Or is it truly when they walk in her bedroom? Is the bedroom door a creaking door? But I am seeing them contain her and hold her in that room in the way that that person is blocking the doorway. Two people have arrived together in that bedroom, one behind the other, not minutes apart. They come in together, and one contains the doorway. The other goes for her. So she is not unconscious leaving her bedroom. She is conscious. I still question if they are sedating her right there in a minimal way. They are aware that even though there are two people, the reason there are two people in the home, I believe they have been around enough crimes or enough criminals that do these same maneuvers, holding people in rooms. What could that be? I had Freudian slip tonight where a couple of times I said sex instead of whatever else I was trying to say with the same words. I can't remember, but I did notice it tonight. It's like, why did I say that twice in the video called Spirit? I did it twice. So when I'm seeing these people hold her in the room, and especially the taller perp seems to be accustomed to it, either by their own past behaviors or participation in things, or again, are they close enough to criminals to know that this is the way it goes down? Anyway, they're both very comfortable, and they do know each other, not just because of this gig. I believe that they have already known each other. They weren't just assembled as people who don't know each other. They know each other, okay? And what else do I want to make about this? Yeah, I don't like what I'm seeing in the bedroom. They're not letting her anywhere near that bedroom door unless and until she has been restrained. Then they somehow get her up and move her to that white couch. And that's how she's just watching and listening and hearing to what is going on. And it's from the couch, sitting on the couch, when she's finally in that room, that they are waiting on comms to say, you know, when is the driver coming? That's when she starts to realize that, oh my God, they're going to take me with them. And I explain in the video called Spirit what happens, and it's tragic and it's horrible. And I do believe that Nancy decided somewhere between the time she was sitting on the couch, listening to the comms go on and off, and as they're coordinating, I believe she made a very firm decision somewhere between sitting on the couch and being levitated to the front door. I really truly do not believe she walked to the front door, okay, folks, because when I'm seeing her on the couch, they have already restrained her, and by the time she's sitting at the couch waiting, they have a wait here. The car is not down the street. The car is being dispatched from, I'm not clear where, but it's not anywhere near this neighborhood right now, okay? It's not. It's being, in fact, I'm going to be honest, when I kind of asked earlier in other tuning ins, I feel the driver is being dispatched approximately from 20 minutes away. Okay, the driver has a 20-minute drive somehow, okay? as they are dispatched, as that driver is dispatched. Okay, so going back to in the home, Nancy's on the couch, and if you go to the floor plan photos that I did see, I believe it was Dark Turkey is the name of the YouTube channel, and the host, I believe that was his name, Dark Turkey. He did a really good video on all sorts of indoor photos of her home. And you will see where the couch is positioned. They've still got to make it to the front door, okay? I'm never believing they were going out the back door. They were just coming in it, okay? There was no plan to go out the back door. They just needed to come in it because that's where that's where they can see how she's moving through the house, okay? It's watching through the front doesn't give them any access visually to what she's really doing at that back side of the house, okay? So they really are watching her from the back only to get in and know that she's in the bedroom. That's the purpose of them being at the back. That's the purpose. They need to corner her in her bedroom. Fuckers. And as I repeat, they somehow knew that back layout of the house to make that decision. So I don't think they were necessarily construction people on, okay? This at all. I just think they could have simply had access. You know, I found it and I'm in Canada, so fuck. I'm sorry. So in any case, going back to this maneuvering, they've got to get Nancy, who I believe has been restrained in zip ties. I just see the white clear, that white, that's what it looks like to me, folks. That's as simple as it looks like to me. I believe she's somehow bound that way. So it just does not make sense to me that they're politely asking her to walk to the front door, please. And it's easy for two people to get her up off the couch. It's pretty easy. I mean, even if there's a coffee table, it's pretty easy. You just get on one side of the coffee table and you both pick her up by the elbows and you shuffle her around it towards that front door. But here's the interesting thing. I do not believe they have moved Nancy off that couch immediately. She's hearing them dispatch the car, okay? And I don't mean to be like laughing at this. This is no laughing matter. But I just, you know, I'm trying to impart that if this all makes sense. She's just watching it from the couch. And they're waiting on the car. It's got a 20-minute drive. And they're not dispatching the car right away. And this is where I feel the 41 minutes, whatever the minutes are between, what was it? 1:47 to 2:31 or something like that. That's the time zone we're looking at. Okay, the car takes 20 minutes to get there and it's not hanging out. It's not going to park anywhere. It is leaving its destination. It is not stopping for gas. It doesn't need gum. It's not needing to pee at the side of the road. It's not parking anywhere. It's not stopping anywhere. It is a one-way movement from where that car is departing, their home, I believe, to be the pickup driver. So I'm feeling 20 minutes, 19 maybe. Okay, 19 or 20 minutes the car is away and it still needs to be dispatched, and it's not getting dispatched. I swear, this car is not getting dispatched until Perp 1 and 2 confirm 100% that the package is secure. They're not risking it. They don't know how long it's going to take to secure her. And honestly, if this really turns around in barely 31, what is that? Is it like 40 minutes? 40 minutes? It's really quite an extraction if they pulled this off in 41 minutes with a 20-minute car dispatch. So where do I want to go from here? I really want to talk about the driver on its own video. So I believe I'm just going over a couple things in my head. Bear with me a second here. I really want to cover the driver and the vehicle in a separate, because the details are incredible and specific. So just wrapping up what I'm seeing inside the home to be very clear on what Perp 1 and 2 have done. They have both contained an individual. They have both restrained an individual. They have both removed an individual. And one of them is a boxer. And somehow, between the couch and the front door, and I'm willing to say even if Nancy was restrained, they still, as crazy as this is, I believe she's making a choice in her home that she does not want to go with them. And I believe she is trying to trigger dying in the home. So whatever goes on, by the time she reaches that threshold of the front door, I've explained it again in the previous video called Spirit, blow by blow, I believe she really did make a decision that she's not going with them. So any of the blood that dropped onto the front terracotta and the adjacent pathway to the circular drive, Perp 1 and 2 carried her through that threshold, but she gave them the fight of her life. Now, I want to back up for a minute. Out of the two people in the home, while I'm seeing Nancy on the couch, someone is rather close to her still in the kitchen. And I'm going to tell you, because they had to wait just as long, and one of them is closer to Nancy during the time they're waiting for the car, and one perp, I distinctly see them at the front door, peeping through the door, watching for the driver and the car. And it made me realize, okay, you have to realize something. They did take her out the front door, you know, the blood's there. But they were waiting, and Perp 1 or 2 was at the front doorway, looking through that door. And I say that there's either a peephole that that person really was looking through in the front door. And I've looked back at photos since I've seen this. I can at least confirm there are 2 panel windows that are on both sides of the door. If you want to go look really closely at the photos of her front doorway, where the steel door is, there are 2 slats of windows, very thin slivers, but window nonetheless. So if there's not a peephole directly in that steel door, that perp, that would be the safer way to look for the car, to be honest, because through the window, heck, you know, anyone out there could see you through that window. So I don't know if you want to look through the window, but I do know Perp 1 was spotting for the car. Okay, that's the term that I got. One of the perps is spotting for the car. So if one perp is in the kitchen still, I know it's open concept, but there's still quite a few feet between one end and the other. One perp's in the kitchen watching Nancy on the couch. Okay, she can't be moving around even if she's bound. Okay. The other perp's at the doorway. So the logical thing that I saw is, what happens? Okay, let's say this is her door, and the perp's got to come up and keep looking through the door. Okay. See what I'm doing? I'm sure they're smart enough not to leave their touch DNA on the door. But DNA has become so sophisticated, or the way people can determine which DNA is in the home and how you can extract has become so advanced. If there's DNA from these perps, I am willing to say, would not be surprised if there truly are hairs in that bedroom, because 2 perps are in there, and that's where they are trying to restrain and contain. So no way she's agreeing to that easily. So I hope there really is hair. Only one of these dudes has been in jail. They are a Mexican crew. It is very potential that these people are not in CODIS. But hey, hair on file is hair on file, and you never know how it comes to play later. So my take is, I don't believe they're going to, maybe not immediately. I suspect they are not going to solve anything with the hair in the bedroom immediately, but I believe it gets shelved to make comparisons as this continues as an investigation. Because sooner or later, I actually do feel all of this does come to light. So where I feel the DNA could be found, they found hairs in the bedroom, that makes sense. Where I would be looking for DNA that could be transferred just through breath, and in the off chance that gloves got destroyed, because if they had to contain her and it got ugly or rough, you never know what happens to gloves. And you never know if people have the same ones, but I suspect there's lots of DNA in the kitchen from where one of them were waiting, watching Nancy. And I suspect there's a huge amount of DNA that could be found. How is it transferred through breath? Is there a chance that anything of one of their breath could have imprinted at that door or on those windows? I would be extremely hot on hoping there's something there. And I believe that might be all the details that I'm trying to share with respect to how I saw the mission go down inside the house. And I do believe that by the time Nancy was moved to the front door, because the person that's looking out the door, spotting for the car, still needs to come back and help move Nancy through the house to that front door. So they are either first, I kind of get this impression that they're first just shuffling her, like somehow, like I said, she's not unconscious, okay? She's watching this. She's hearing it. Her feet are bound. I feel they go to her at the couch, lift her up by the elbows, and they start shuffling her on her own feet. She can just do like little shuffling, okay? By the time they need to get her out the front door, though, that's where she's going wiggy on them. And my sister and I kind of feel that is where we actually question if her eyes are covered by a blindfold as well, because we do believe this was supposed to be a cash grab where they were just going to stash her. and trade for cash. So, yeah, so they really did just want the cash, you know. But here's the thing. The reason why we think she could have been blindfolded or injured, or the blood rather is dropping, we would agree that we think out of the two perps in the house, whichever one is the boxer, and some people think it's perp one at the door camera because of the way the person, that's quite a boxer move, right? So what my sister felt, and I started to see it, she started to pick up on it, is whoever the perp is that might be the boxer, we believe this person has a real hot temper. Definitely looks calm on camera, right? But anyone can be kind of like pushed, right? And kind of like triggered. And plus, if you're triggered, you can have your own reflexes. So we actually agree with a couple of the psychics that have put forward that perp one might be a boxer. Perp one of the two people in the house could be a boxer. And by the time Nancy is saying, I'm not going with you, I'm going to make it so hard for you to get me even through that door, you can go, you know what? I really believe that the worst of whatever struggle went on, it was when they were really picking her up to exit her from the home. So I believe one of them snapped because the car's already coming. They cannot screw around with having that car in the driveway for another 10 minutes, folks. They do not want any car ever being seen. Perp 1 and 2 are only ever arriving on foot. You don't see them with vehicles. I never see them with vehicles. They're somehow maneuvering on foot through that neighborhood by potentially just, what freaks us out is we actually wonder if one of these perps is from the neighborhood. We're going to be honest, because they're maneuvering through the neighborhood without cars. So they have either, they may know someone in the neighborhood that get away with parking, but they are making so sure that cars are not being seen. They know this is a way that people can trace to criminals. They do not want cars traced back to the criminals conducting this crime. Okay, so they cannot risk that car being there any longer. They have done a great job, fuckers, with getting her restrained and ready up to this point. Then she goes wiggy. Then the perp who's the boxer dude or woman snaps, and I think whether it was intended or not, that's how a head injury and possibly nose or eye injury could have been sustained during the struggle when Nancy was saying, I want to die in my own home. I'm not going with you. So I don't think there's necessarily any blood from the perpetrators. But it sure makes me wonder if one of them dropped saliva because all of a sudden you gotta like, even if she was restrained, okay, and they're trying to nicely walk her to the door, then they're gonna pick her up though. I swear to God, they're picking her up. They know it. Because they gotta get her into the car, okay? Like they gotta slide her into a car. So anyway, I think that's enough detail for tonight. It just is, everything goes wrong when she realized they want to put her in the vehicle that's coming. It just doesn't work when they're trying to move her through the rest of the house, okay? So I'm willing to bet she was even like doing anything. Even if your hands are tied, you've seen when people want to headbutt each other. Nothing would surprise me with what Nancy was trying to invoke when she decided she did not want to be taken out of her own home. So definitely do agree with head injury could have been plausible during that struggle. Eye injury could have been possible during that struggle. Nosebleed could have been very possible. And if you start having a nosebleed, it would make sense. They're saying that the blood left on the front terracotta area has been respirated, in its own way of saying that there's oxygen still in the blood. So that's why I know anyway, like they know that she was alive going over that threshold, even if blood is present, she was still alive. And I know that because they just wanted to relocate her and return her. So anyway, I think I've covered the rest of, yeah, I think this is the point that I'm going to say this is enough for this channel or this topic. I guess just to paraphrase the rest of the mission is perp 1 and 2, like I said, contain and restrain, remove, relocate. Driver, I'll discuss in the next one. He was only there to drive. I'm telling you right now, he didn't even get out of the car at all, the vehicle, to help load Nancy. Didn't do it. He was only there to drive. I'm going to explain what and where and stuff about him later, tomorrow or next day. Okay, and perp 5, the woman that I keep seeing involved in this, I believe perp 5, her mission to this, she must somehow know perp 3. I'm trying to figure out, okay, perp 3 designed this whole thing. But what I believe happened is a Mexican woman somehow heard him or knows him. Maybe it's an ex, you never know. We sometimes talk to our exes even if we're not dating them, right? But I have to suspect that it's perp 3 and perp 5 that somehow know each other, because by the time the woman is involved, by the time perp 5 is involved, and in theory she might be the second person in on this, but she's in the sequence of me seeing things, she's the 5th person showing to me in just this whole thing. So I'm calling her perp 5. But my sister and I agree that she is a ringleader of some type unto herself. I say perp 3 designed this. But when I'm looking at this Mexican woman, I additionally want to say she was responsible for pulling the crew together. I don't believe perp 3 necessarily knew the Mexican crew that pulled this off. I believe perp 3 might only know perp 5, and it was perp 5 that assembled the rest of the team. She knows them, okay? And the word that came out in the reading that describes the driver is a male. I'll go into lots of details on the other video next. He is a male, he is a Mexican, and the distinct word that's connected to him is syndicate. What do you think of when I say the word syndicate if we are considering criminals, and especially if we are considering Mexican criminals, could this person be part of a cartel? This is not a cartel hit. It really isn't. But I can only imagine how many cartel members would be for hire on other crimes. Because when I am looking at this driver, I can assure you he is not unaccustomed to being a lookout, a spotter on his own for when crimes are going down as a driver. He's always looking, and I believe his mission that evening was not to help with the body, okay? Not at all. Look, and if you watch back at the photos I'm talking about that I've seen, there is a huge amount of blood that is on the walkway after the terracotta, okay? There's a huge amount of blood there. So the driver, when I see what he's responsible for, he arrives in a timely manner, once dispatched, not stopping anywhere, period. And the positioning of Nancy from the house into the vehicle is not physically assisted in any way by the driver. The driver, the only responsibility is to drive and to watch the driveway. Pretty much, that's his mission. And to just drive to the second location, and the only people that are in that vehicle when Nancy is put in that vehicle, Perp 1 and 2 go into the vehicle. Perp 4 is the driver who doesn't even get out of the vehicle. They whisk off into the night. Perp 5 is not in the vehicle. But Perp 5 keeps showing herself to me in the house or shack that Nancy is taken to. Okay, so that's pretty much the mission. Perp 5 somehow assembled the crew to do the extraction, removal, and relocation. And in theory, they should have been part of the return to sender if they had exchanged the money. Okay, so I described what goes wrong in the other video called Spirit, and I do believe I'm just gonna call this a closure, except for going to one very, very important detail. If you were with me earlier, I put a slice of orange in my tea. I want to be the Taylor Swift of giving you interesting symbols that will mean many things. My sister, who did the reading with me just last week, she picked up a very important detail and clue that is outrageously amazing. She got this orange that popped up in front of her face. And we were wondering if Nancy was taken to an area that could have something to do with an orange grove. All of a sudden, my sister is seeing this orange, and she's getting the idea that it's from an orange grove. Now, we are trying to tune into more of where was she held, but honestly, I'm going to be honest. As much of the details that I've already shared with respect to where she was held, there's really not much more to tell. because by the time things went bad, they removed her from there anyway. So I think it's more important to just distinguish who these physical people are by their personality traits, their heights, their looks, their appearances, what they're into. So I'm going to keep it at that, I believe. But the clue being Orange Grove, I thought, hey, hey, why don't I just look at the maps and just see if indeed there's an Orange Grove 23 minutes away from Nancy's home or anything. And you would not believe what I discovered. In fact, I'm going to pull it up. And, oh, no, maybe not. If you want a GPS, okay, if Nancy's house, okay, I am going to pull it out. This is going to be my last thing tonight. Okay. Glasses. Okay, wait. Okay, if I got the... Okay, so I'm going to put in Nancy's address. I believe it's 2850 North Camino Escalante. Okay, Tucson, Arizona. Okay, so... Oh, for some reason I got South Escalante. Okay, so if... Okay, so look at this for a second. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this? Okay. Nah, I don't think that's going to work. Or will it? Let's see if this will work for me. Okay. Okay, see that's where her house is? Okay. So I'm saying she's coming out of that driveway. So it looks like this could mean that she is actually on the south side of East Escalante. So if that really is her address, and she turns right out of that driveway, we just started to look at where this is going. And what we noticed is there is a street very close to this that is called, now I want to see where she's going out here, because if she's gone north, I believe she has gone up highway. I believe she's taken up Highway 77 or Highway 80. Now, why did they turn right out of her home? If that's the case, if this pointer is true, I'm not sure it is, but I believe they went north. And when you look at ways to get over towards Highway 77 and 80, would you believe that there is a street that is called East Orange Grove in her neighborhood? And it would be going in the direction, if you wanted to find exit out of there, I think there's a road called Ina, I-N-A. And I believe that there's a couple of ways you can get out of her neighborhood, start going west, but then you still have to go north. So there is an East Orange Grove Drive that's really close. So for that to be a clue, and we now find out that the reference to Orange Grove could be right in Nancy's neighborhood, as opposed to where she could have potentially been taken north, then that's what makes me kind of stop in my tracks and say, could there be anybody connected to this that really lives on that street? Or when they're exiting this whole neighborhood to get closer to where the roads lead them to Highway 80 or 77, it makes me wonder on the map, could they have taken that street? When I looked at it on GPS, it looked plausible that if they wanted to somehow make it to Highway 77 or 80, they could go from where she is through East Grove, Orange Grove Road, whatever it's called. So it just made me think, if they're looking for cameras that could potentially have seen the vehicle leaving, I would wonder if it's cameras on East Grove Road that could pick up the vehicle. That's what we're going to say about that, because why the heck would that come up as a clue? And it's pretty wild that the street is on the west side of where Nancy's residence is located. So I still don't know why they would want to turn right. If turning right out of her driveway is truly east, how do they snake around? But that's what we're questioning. Could they have gone and exited to get back to the highway that way? And could anybody from the neighborhood connected to that street be connected? I don't know, because I don't know names on that street. But okay, this has gone on forever. Oh my God, this has gone on forever. Okay, I must bid you a very good morning. I can't believe I've done this again. Of course I have. Okay, in the name of solving crimes and mysteries and bringing Nancy Guthrie home, I hope this wasn't too dark and, well, it's certainly tragic. And okay, so in a day or so, I will cover the driver and the vehicle, because when you hear the descriptions of the driver and the vehicle, it's make me shiver already. So, okay, I can't believe I did, like, this is probably like an hour and a half. What was I on? Oh God, I think I was on for 2.5 hours. How the heck did that happen? Okay, I really appreciate everybody tuning in, and I really appreciate that people care about this case. Any of the videos that I'm doing, they are available on my YouTube channel, Sax Francisco Clairvoyant Medium. The full-length videos are there. On TikTok, I have to split them up into smaller portions. So I will split these up, but it's too much to put on TikTok. So please watch them on YouTube as well, but I will continue to do the lives on TikTok. And I do appreciate that people care about this subject matter. And I'm going to say over and out, and it's the wee hours of the morning as usual for me. So good morning.